Namaste everybody. So in previous class, that criminal was kept in a prison for lifetime. His death sentence was changed into life imprisonment. Why? Because the kingdom, the tiny kingdom, couldn't bear the expense of implementing his death sentence. So it was changed into life imprisonment. He was kept in the prison for months, nearly 1 year. Then, while the king was going on the accounts, he noticed a special kind of expense. It was to keep the prisoner in a prison. He should be provided with food, together with his guard should be paid. It was nearly 600 francs per year. The prisoner remained there month after month till a year had passed. But when a year had passed, the kinglet, looking over the account of his income and expenditure one day, noticed a new item of expenditure. This was for the keep of the criminal. This was to keep the criminal in prison, because lifetime imprisonment, that is the responsibility of the king, the authority to provide him proper imprisonment and food. Nor was it a small item either. There was a special guard, and there was also a man's food. And it was also rich food. It came from Prince's kitchen. It came to more than 600 francs a year. And the worst of it was that the fellow was still young and healthy. So he may live still more years, maybe 30, 40, then altogether it may be much more than the expenditure, what they expected. And might live for 50 years. Just imagine, 50 years if he lived, 6,000 francs per year. So, francs. They hesitated to spend 16,000 francs or 12,000 francs, but it was around. Horrible, no? So, when one came to reckon it up, the matter was serious. It would never do. So the prince summoned his minister and said to them, so it was a shocking matter for this king. You must find some cheaper way of dealing with this rascal. The present plan is too expensive. Much more. Within 2 years, they'll meet the expense of borrowing a guillotine and an executioner from Italy. Right? Yes. The minister met, considered and reconsidered. Yes, the ministers, they discussed about this present matter. So, when they discussed it, they couldn't find any alternative method for that. Till one of them said, gentlemen, in my opinion, let us dismiss the guard, so that cost of paying him they can save. But then rejoined another minister, the fellow will run away. So if there is no guard, the fellow, how can he remain in the prison? He may run away. Well, said the first speaker, let him run away and be hanged to him. Whatever he wants, let he do. Let he run away. So what happens? The expense we can save, no. So they reported the result of their deliberations to the kinglet, and he agreed with them. The guard was dismissed, and they waited to see what would happen. All that happened was that at dinner time, the criminal came out And not finding his guard, he went to the prince's kitchen to fetch his own dinner. He just wanted the guard to bring the food. But the guard was not there. He searched for him. He was not there. He waited for a moment and then directly went to the palace kitchen and brought his food himself. He took what was given to him, returned to the prison, shut the door on himself and stayed inside without showing a least signal of running away. Next day, the same occurred again. Food time, morning, noon, maybe night, all the 3 times. He directly went to the kitchen, brought his food, whatever they gave, came to the prison room, shut the door and went in, safely sat inside. Next day, the same thing occurred. He went for his food at the proper time. But as for running away, he did not show the least sign of it. When they were observing him, they did not notice even the least sign of running away from the prison. What was to be done? They considered the matter again. We shall have to tell him straight out. Get out. Let us tell him, said they, that we do not want to keep him. So the minister of justice had him brought before him. Why do you not run away? Said the minister. There is no guard to keep you. Nobody is there to guard you. You can run away, no? You can go wherever you like, and the prince will not mind, they said. I dare say the prince would not mind, replied the man. He was not willing to run away from there. But I have nowhere to go. What can I do? You have ruined my character by your sentence and people will turn their backs on me. So the death sentence, whatever you imposed on me, that ruined my character. People will turn their backs on me. Besides, I have got out of the way of working. This lazy life of 1 year made me to go out of the habit of working. So now I want to spend the life easily like as I am spending now. I don't want to work. You have treated me badly. That's your fault. You could have been sentenced me to death. You didn't do. You have treated me badly. It is not fair. In first place, when once you sentenced me to death, you ought to have executed me. Nobody was there to prevent you. You could have been sentenced me today. You could have been executed me. But you did not do. That is one thing. I did not complain about that. Then you sentenced me to imprisonment for life and put a guard to bring me my food. But after a time you took him away again. Okay, it was changed into life imprisonment, right? Fine. And you kept a guard. He was bringing food for me from the palace kitchen. Fine. You took him away again. I had to fetch my own food. Again, I did not complain. But now you actually want me to go away. I can't agree to that. You may do as you like, but I won't go away. If you want to punish in other way, you can do it. But I'm not the one to run away, he said. What was to be done? If he won't run away by himself, what was to be done? Nothing could be done, no. Once more, the council was summoned. What course could they adopt? The man would not go. They reflected and considered. The only way to get rid of him was to offer him a pension. Pension means yearly allowance given to him. And so they reported to the prince. There was nothing else for it, said they. We must get rid of him somehow because they are fed up of this person. They wanted to get rid of this prisoner at any cost. The sum fixed was 600 francs and this was announced to the prisoner. The sum was 600 francs per year. per year. And this was announced to the prisoner. It was announced to the prisoner, we decided to give you 600 francs annually and you can lead a life of your own, but we are not ready to keep you in the prison. Well, said he, I don't mind, so long as you undertake to pay it regularly. Till my lifetime, till my death, you had to pay it. So long as you undertake to pay it regularly, I don't mind. Well, I'm going from here. On that condition, I'm willing to. That means that's your responsibility to pay this annual pension regularly until you keep your words, until you pay, I am ready to go. So the matter was settled. He received 1/3 of his annuity in advance. That means 200 francs in advance. 200 francs, 1/3 of this annuity. That is 200 francs in advance, and left the king's dominion. Why? What is the dominion? His area, that Monaco. He left Monaco. It was only quarter of an hour by rail. By just 1 hour 15 minutes. And he emigrated and settled just across the frontier. Just across the boundary, he settled over there, where he bought a bit of land. He purchased, bought, buy, past tense, bought, bring, brought. Don't get confused. Bring, brought, buy, bought. He bought a bit of land, started market gardening, and now lives comfortably because he need not to worry about the income. They agreed to give 600 francs annually. That is sufficient for him. Moreover, he was earning by his newly adopted profession, market gardening. He always goes at the proper time to draw his pension. Having received it, he goes to the gaming tables. Which gaming table? Where people used to play roulette. Stakes 2 or 3 francs. Stake means bid. 2 or 3 francs. Sometimes wins or sometimes loses. And then returns home. He lives peaceably and well. He never mind whether he lose the money or win the money, but he used to live comfortably, peacefully with whatever he get. It's a good thing that he did not commit his crime in a country where they do not grudge expense to cut a man's head off or to keep him in prison for life. So you're so lucky that he committed his crime in Monaco. If he would have committed this crime in Italy or France, they never grudge expense to cut this man's head off. His life would have been ended year before itself, or to keep him in prison for life. So, unexpected ending, right? Yes, this is what Leo Tolstoy states. Now, easy narration, moreover, no difficult words, interesting, and makes us to go on reading. Why was Monaco called a toy kingdom? The landmass of Monaco was so small that if divided equally among the inhabitants, 1 acre on each will get. That's all. Each of its 7,000 inhabitants would have been got around 1 acre. So such a small landmass it was. That's why it was called as Toy Kingdom. So, in page number 6, last line, if all the inhabitants of the land, all the land in the kingdom were divided, there would not an acre for each inhabitant. Such small was the landmass. So it was called as kinglet. So toy kingdom. Name the commodities taxed in Monaco. Tobacco, wine, and spirit are the commodities taxed in Monaco. Other than this, the people also paid a poll tax. Poll tax is not necessary to mention because it's not a commodity. That's why. Tobacco, wine, and spirit is the answer. What was the source of King's special revenue? Who were its beneficiaries? The gaming house, right? Where people used to play roulette was the source of King's special revenue. The owner of the house was earning sufficiently from which a large amount was going to the king. That was the main source of King's special revenue. Who were the beneficiaries? King himself and his ministers, courtiers, his servants, bishop, generals, and his army were the beneficiaries of this income. Why did the Germans stop gaming houses in their country, and how did it benefit Monaco? Page number 7. Second paragraph, 7th line from the last. The reason the German sovereign stopped was because these gaming houses did so much harm. A man would come and try his luck, then he would risk all he had and lose it. Then he would even risk money and did not belong to him and lose that too. And then in despair he would drown or shoot himself. That's the answer. Next, what was the source of what was the punishment given to the murderer? Death sentence. Death sentence was the punishment given to the murderer. The death sentence was converted into life imprisonment because carrying out death sentence was expensive. The king tried his level best to collect guillotine and executioner, even from France and also from Italy. In France, it costed nearly 16,000 francs. It was too costly. And then he tried in Italy, it was 12,000, including transportation. But it was also too costly for such a small kingdom, toy kingdom. That's why he changed the death sentence into life imprisonment. So B is the answer. How much did the king spend on the criminal annually? 600 francs. On what condition did the criminal agree to go away from the prison? Why was his demand fulfilled? An yearly pension of 600 francs. On the condition of getting yearly pension of 600 francs, the criminal agreed to go away from the prison. Why was his demand fulfilled? His demand was fulfilled because at any cost the king wanted to get rid of him. The expense, whatever he noticed to keep him in the prison, he never expected that. Moreover, paying to the guard and providing him food, all were expensive. That's why he wanted to get rid of him from the kingdom. Yes. Next. Second comprehension. It should be answered in a paragraph. Remember, in second main, normally they'll ask the answer to be a question to be answered in a paragraph. While answering that question, you had to take care that the answer should be written in one paragraph, not more than one paragraph. Let the paragraph be short or little bigger, but 2 paragraphs should not be made. That care you have to take. First main should be answered in one word, phrase or sentence each. It should not be more than one sentence. That also should be considered. Though gambling is a dirty business, why does the king of Monaco resort it? The kingdom of Monaco, the source of income of that small kinglet was the tax on tobacco, wine and spirit. Other than that, poll tax collected by the inhabitants. But it was not enough for the kinglet to meet his expenses. He had to maintain his prestige, his ceremonious activities. He had to pay for his ministers, generals, courtiers, etc. For that, it was not enough. So another source of income was needed for him. His main source, alternate source of income, which mainly supported his expenses, was the gaming house where the gambling game roulette was played. Sufficient income was there where the gaming house owner gave a large amount of money to the king, which was his main source of income to lead a comfortable kingly life. So, though gambling is a dirty business, so he resorted it because of this reason. He consoled himself, saying that even drinking wine, drinking and also chewing tobacco also a bad habit itself. When we support that, why can't we support roulette? That was the supporting statement of the king to support this gambling house, as it was his main source of income. He never wanted to close it. Why did the king of Monaco keep changing his mind in dealing with the criminal? Every time when he took a decision about this criminal, one or other problem arise to execute that decision. So he keep on changing his mind in dealing with the criminal. First he decided the criminal should be sentenced to death. There, the economic problem, the cost of the guillotine and the executioner, it was too costly for the kinglet. So it was changed into life imprisonment. There also, he considered it costly because he had to pay for the guard. Together with food should be given for the criminal. As he was saying, he may live next 50 years around. So, he was young and healthy, the criminal. So, he thought it also would be too costly. So, he changed it to allow this criminal to run away. As he couldn't execute his decisions because of one or other problem arised, he went on changing his decision. Why was the criminal reluctant to go out of the prison? So, it's clearly a straight question, clearly mentioned here. Page number 10, second paragraph from the last. I have nowhere to go. From there, it should be answered in reported speech. The criminal was reluctant to go because he had nowhere to go. He had nowhere to go. He questioned what else could be done. He continued saying that they had ruined his character by their sentence and people would turn their backs on him. Besides, he had got out of the way of working. These officials treated him badly, which was not fair. Moreover, once they sentenced him to death, they ought to have executed him, but they did not do it. Next, he did not complain to that also. Then it was changed into imprisonment and a guard was appointed to bring him food. Then he was also removed and the prisoner himself had to fetch his food. Again he did not complain, but actually to run away from there, he couldn't agree to go away from there. So that was the answer. Just that paragraph should be written in reported speech. How did the criminal lead his life after release? Page number 11, second paragraph. Direct answer. He received 1/3 of his annuity in advance and left the king's dominions. It was only a quarter of an hour by rail, and he emigrated and settled just across the frontier, where he bought a bit of land, started market gardening, and lived comfortably. Instead of now lives, you can write lived comfortably. He always goes at a proper time to draw his pension. Having received it, he goes to the gaming tables, stakes 2 or 3 francs, sometimes wins and sometimes loses, and then returns home. He lives peaceably and well. Instead of this present tense, you can use past tense, it's better. He received 1/3 of his annuity in advance and left the king's dominion. It was only a quarter of an hour by rail, and he emigrated, settled just across the frontier, where he bought a bit of land, started market gardening, and lived comfortably. Then he always went at the proper time to he always went at the proper time to draw his pension. Having received it, went to the gaming table, stacked past tense, 2 or 3 francs, sometimes won and sometimes lost, and then returned home. Lived peaceably and well. That's better. It's 4 marks question, so the answer should be perfect because you're answering in 1 paragraph, not more than that. That's it. The last 2 questions are direct questions, so need not worry. So third, answer these questions in 80 to 100 words. Here you can make 2 or 3 paragraphs, long answers. You can't earn stone palaces by honest labor. In what context is this sentence made? The small kingdom Monaco. The source of income was very much limited, as it was the collection of tax which was implemented on tobacco, wine and spirit together with poll tax. This tax, whatever they collected, was not enough to maintain the stately expenses of the kinglet of that country, small country. Together with the king had to pay for his generals, ministers, courtiers, etc., other than his own expenses, ceremonies. So he depended on the income on a gaming house where gambling game roulette was played. As the roulette was a gambling game and he knew that it was not good, he had to rely on that because he has no other alternative. So he consoled his thought saying that you can't earn stone palaces by honest labor. That means, knowing that it's not right, he supported it because it's the main source of income for him which he needed. Though the trial and imprisonment of the criminal is depicted in a comic mode of the story, it does give rise to serious questions. What are they? What are they? Is the economy of a country, small country, effects on implementing the court judgment? That's the main question. And moreover, can it be changed according to their will and wish? Such like questions and such general questions won't be asked in the examination, that you have to remember. Where there are other ways of dealing with the criminal and the criminal, discuss the light of the story. So what could be done other than death sentence, other than this life imprisonment, other than providing him pension? What could be done? That should be discussed. This discussion and your opinion, such like questions you won't get. So this is all the lesson. Other than this, other than this, you had to read the lesson again.